So this is a machine that I did a complete retrofit on. This is obviously one of the oldest styles of machine, kind of the first generation after the 2-knob machine. And I have retrofitted it with all new electronics. So this is the mechanical relays from the generation before the Pro models. So we've got the new touch screen. I put in a new USB board and a new relay control board. Put in a new epoxy harness, and then replace the pigtail on the back of the rack, so it's all the new stuff with the nice Deutsche plugs. And you can see the reason for the video here is the machine comes from the factory offset to 50. This is the default setting, and it's showing 329 MT, which is great. That's good. It's not, you know, as good as we'd like, but when we come over here with the calibration gauge, we can see that it's actually down at 230. So we can adjust this offset to get it to be more reflective of what's actually going on there. I'm going to take it all the way down to 0 and see what that does. It's going to take a little bit to adjust. So we'll let that get down, and I might have to bring it back up a little bit, but that'll be calibrated. And this is an old model, but the owner of this has invested in the new electronics package and then also a refurbished pump. So they're getting great performance with a basically new pump with a warranty. And then this person's local to me, so I'll warranty the work I've done here with the retrofit. So what are we sitting at? 278 now on the MT and 228 here. So we're going to bring this down even further. See how that goes, and let that go. But the point of this video is not necessarily to show you how to calibrate your machine, but just that the machine might not be reading exactly what, you know, a calibrated vacuum gauge is going to read. So now we're matching. So this shows 226 MTs, and it's still going down at a rate of -2 per minute. So now we've got matching MTs on the screen and pretty close to the calibration gauge. When that reaches 0, that means it's not going down anymore, and it's just holding steady. And we're looking the same over here, 225. So that shuts off automatically after a while. That was the little beep that we heard a second ago. So that'll catch up. But just because your screen says a certain MT doesn't mean you need to go and wrap your hoses with a bunch of ugly silicone and go and do the epoxy plug. Now, prior to meeting me, this owner had gone through and done a bunch of leak sealing with, I'm not quite sure what, but you can see here when I installed the new epoxy plug, I just put it in with regular Teflon tape, and then when I put in my little calibration plug, I just put some Teflon tape on there. There's nothing, you know, unusual about this. This is just off-the-shelf stuff. You know, they've gone through and they've done this coating of whatever sort this is. This is some sort of rubberized coating, which seems to be working fine, but I would not recommend doing that. Most of the time you can get away with not having to do anything like that. Just make sure that your connections here are Teflon well and clean. And then the same thing with any connections back here. Anytime I do a vacuum leak repair for customers, it's almost always just the Teflon has been pushed from the end up, and there's no thread sealing going on in the in the area where the threads are actually engaging. So don't overdo it with the Teflon, but put, 4 or 5 wraps on there and then tighten the snot out of it and it'll be fine. So 222 MT on an old machine with a refurbished pump, and it's calibrated pretty darn close. So we're gonna call this a success. I've got to get one more thing for this for it to be perfect. I've got to add an additional thermistor that I'll put over here to get room temperature. So that'll just connect down in there. That'll connect down here at that plug, and that'll be put up here to get room temperature, and that'll fix that display. But other than that, we're going to call this retrofit a success.